Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's season 6, episode 4, entitled To a Different Day. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. Charley preps with hair and makeup, which is an upgrade to her usual meetings. As she turns on her laptop, we see that she's prepping for an interview with Gayle King. Gayle lets Charley know that the production team will test lighting and sound before they get rolling. Ralph and Darla have pillow talk about the future, loving one another, and staying strong through life events. That's interrupted by unexpected truck sounds and cars arriving to the property. The sheriff says that they have a warrant due to the details included in Nova's book of a possible body on the Bordelon property. They have a warrant to dig anywhere to search for a corpse. There's a lot of anger and tension shared between Ralph and the sheriff. As the tension increases, Darla arrives to the porch with a calm voice telling Ralph to come inside. Billie tries to bring comfort to her dad with meals and coffee, but he's resistant to eat and to make small talk. He's even been stubborn when it comes to discussing taking his medication, and Billie even notices that he has trouble bathing himself. She knew that her dad would say no and scheduled a nurse for that same day. Prosper gets upset, but she feels that he needs a professional to help make sure that he takes his medicine on time and also try it at least for a day, half a day with the nurse at least. And Prosper agrees to give it a try. Prosper tries to make a little small talk with Billie, asking about a gentleman named Davis. And she says that her relationship with him is strained and that she doesn't want to talk about it, but he encourages her to talk to her friends. What about Nova? What about this person? But she tells him that Nova and her were friends a long time ago. And by the way, she makes an interesting statement by saying friends are just people who are future enemies. Nova gets professional camera installation in the front and the back of her residence. Moments later, Dominic arrives confused about the upgrade in security. He thought that the hashtag ruckus went away, but Nova says unfortunately there's groups of people concerning law enforcement that feel a different way. He offers to help and keep an eye out for her safety, and if she comes home late, feel free to text him and he can keep an eye out and even walk her to the door. She takes him up on that offer. Celine and Gabriel pay a visit to the diner to meet up with Hollywood. Hollywood wants to take Gabriel fishing. Gabriel is so excited to go fishing, and Celine is very grateful of everybody's kindness. She tells them that it's been a long time since Gabriel has been this happy. Charley and Gayle begin their interview, and Charley's not only an expected councilwoman, but she's the NBA ex-wife and manager of Davis West. Gayle begins by wanting Charley to talk about all of the work that's happened since the pandemic. Charley says that she came back to her roots and she had the desire and sense of community. She developed a farmer's mill and joined the Council of St. Joe. The city even had the lowest transmissions of the virus in the state. Now they go on to talk about the Black Farmers Attribution with the USDA. Charley worked with the Black Farmers Alliance to assist Black farmers who have suffered for decades due to racial discrimination by banks and the USDA. Black farmers only make up 1% compared to the 14% over 100 years when it comes to farming. The Black farmers are basically going extinct, but it doesn't have to be that way. Gayle wants to know about Charley's local political future. She's also come a long way from the moment when she stormed out to the court after she learned of her husband's infidelity. Now, due to the recent photographs of them together on Instagram, have they reconciled? Charley explains that she's honored to run for state office and is actually in D.C. for another meeting concerning party leadership. When it comes to Davis, yes, they have reconciled, and it's a work in progress. She doesn't expect everyone to forgive Davis or forget, but understand that he started a new path. He's donated a lot when it comes to certain organizations, and he's working on building a better relationship with his son. All he can do is back up his words with actions. When it comes to her aspirations and how she evolved from a talent manager to what she is today, Charley explains that she just saw everything as a boomerang. When someone told her no, she found a way to make a yes. Micah and his friend debate back and forth about Marcus Garvey. He promoted going back to Africa, but also made points about nationalism, that it's okay to love your homeland from where you currently are. What are we waiting for? Are 40 acres and a mule? The friend says that the only way that he'll stay is if police brutality ends. Imagine what the world would look like if there was equality. Even better, what would it feel like? There would be no boundaries of where you could go, where you could live, or even who you could love. Micah says he has to leave to pick up some flowers for some girl, but the friend says, I don't think Dr. Stetson would be too fond of being called a girl. That's a grown woman. He noticed how Micah gets red and nervous every time she's mentioned or around, but the friend tells Micah that his secret is safe with him. Ralph warns all of the people on the land that while they're digging up everything to watch out for his mother's burial site, the land is now being treated as a crime scene. When the officer walks away, Ralph grabs some of the soil, places it in a plastic bag, and places the bag into his pocket. He then calls Benny to say that he has soil that needs to be tested. Billie and Nova take a moment to talk again. The truth is told in its entirety. Jimmy Dale lured her into a secluded area, and she was flattered by the attention. When she figured out his true intentions, she ran away as fast as she could. Despite nothing happening, Jimmy Dale spread rumors that weren't true. Nova apologizes for not being a friend, and she believed the rumors. She wants to be her friend now again and doesn't want to fail her in the future. Darla wants to know why Ralph had the farm soil tested. Ralph explains that he doesn't trust anything they're doing to the land. It's no telling what they're putting in it, and he wants evidence of what's going on. She tells him that he's really smart and he's always 10 steps ahead, that he's doing the best that he can, but he shouldn't take on all of the responsibilities when it comes to the farm. She lets him know while trying to find certain paperwork for Blue and his school that she found a lot of important documents. She also found documents of when her parents put away money when it came to her college education, and since she didn't finish and is not using it, it's a great opportunity to ask her parents to transfer the money to her directly so they can use it for whatever they need. But Ralph says that he has things under control and just to give him time and patience, that they really don't need the money just yet. It's a good idea, but not now. Prosper takes a moment to just vent to Vi about everything that's been happening, about how he loves his daughter's efforts, but she can't cook. She can make a good mean cup of coffee though. And the situation with a nurse. He's kind of uncomfortable with that. He wants to give her a chance, but wants insight according to Vi. And Vi agrees that she should give the nurse a chance, and also she'll bring by a nice meal and some good cooking. The doorbell rings and it's Nurse Sandy. She's been vaccinated, and Prosper says, well, since you're vaccinated, feel free to take off your mask. When she does, Prosper is floored by her beauty. Micah surprises his lover Professor with birthday flowers. She thinks that it was nice of him, but it was a bad idea that he came to her place of business. She says, hey, we had something physical and now you're bringing emotions into it. I thought that it would just remain physical, but I don't think that we should continue seeing each other. But she tells Micah to admit that they had fun while it lasted. Charley returns to her hotel room showered with blooms and flowers from Davis. There's a card applauding her great interview. He's proud of her, and most of all, he loves her. Charley gives him a call, but she has to leave a voicemail message. She tells him how wonderful he is, how he's improved, and how she loves him too. Nova shows up and views all of the destruction going on with the land and learns that her book is the driving force of the warrant. She promises that everything was speculation and symbolism and she meant nothing by it, and will do everything that she can to make sure that this matter goes away. Celine helps Vi make boxes, and Vi presses that she needs to move forward with filing for the divorce papers. But Celine is just really afraid that her husband will do something dangerous, and she doesn't feel comfortable. Vi said that this is her testament to moving on and gives her the number of a lawyer who's helped several others with the same situation. Hollywood and Gabriel share some fun times fishing, and Gabriel catches a fish. He wants to know if they can just go back and just be happy. Hollywood lets him know that happy times are ahead and just to be patient. Prosper and his new nurse are getting along very well. He's taking his medicine on time, eating more, and his spirits are lifted. There's even small talk about Motown and real music. She sings, and it just brightens his entire day. And they laugh, reminiscing about the good old days. Micah listens to music before getting a knock at the door. His friend reminds him about the Delta party, but Micah's not up to going. He can't separate his mind from his body and how he feels. But his friend encourages him to meditate. It gives the brain a chance to pause, and you can think about whatever you choose to focus on. It's something new, and Micah gives it a try. Nova enjoys a blunt as she notices her informant from the police force comes up and he needs to talk to her right away. It's evident that people inside the police force have been informed of an informant and information is getting out. Now she's the enemy. Dominic sits down and notices the truck and says to Nova after she sits down, "That's a cop, huh?" She's surprised that he could notice such a thing and explains that he grew up in foster care. He can notice a cop from far away. His grandma actually saved him, and he had to learn to forgive his mother for her neglect. Ralph Angel continues to watch as they dig. He receives a call from Benny that says that the soil tested for pesticides that went through the roof. An idiot would have to have placed this type of pesticide in the soil. With those results, it's very evident that someone has been putting those pesticides in the soil over a very long period of time. Vi and Hollywood arrive to try to give some comfort, but there's still tension between him and Vi. It's really not helping the situation. She tells him, "I'm not here to place blame. I'm really here to try to support you in this situation." As she continues to explain herself, something has been found. A bone. And that is the end of the episode. Now it is time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. Now, let's just go ahead and get into my mystery solving skills, okay? So it's very evident that there is a lot of foreshadowing in this episode yet again. Let's talk about the alleged human bone that was found, okay? If they've already had the soil tested, and they're getting to clues about the dirt and the soil and pesticides, it's very highly likely that the dirt on the bone will be the savior in any accusations, because what's gonna differentiate that bone in a critical case is that I don't think that the dirt on the bone will match the dirt that was tested. In other words, it will be evident that the bone was placed there on purpose, and whoever placed it there is completely unaware that Ralph Angel had the soil tested. And I think that's going to be the big crescendo of the entire season, that those soils that are on the bone is going to match up with where whomever had the bone, whoever murdered that individual, right, whose DNA matches with that bone, that soil will have to be tested from that original soil, okay? And what's interesting, if you've watched crime shows or anything dealing with murder mystery, is that bones have their way of, over time, telling on themselves, whether it was in water, whether it was in a chemical, dirt, all this type of stuff. So I think that will be the crescendo of the season, that will be the foreshadowing of getting the soil tested, and that will help the case tremendously. And the bone was planted. That's my prediction, because if they're planting pesticides to allow Ralph not to have any good finances or financial gains from the farmland, they already had an idea They already had an idea about destroying his crops and all of this other stuff, and all of the black farmers getting together when it comes to the USDA. All of this will wrap up with the season. I hope that I'm wrong, because everything looks predictable based upon the foreshadowing. And I think that comes from me looking at a lot of murder mysteries, being very good at riddles, all this other stuff. So let's get to Vi and Ralph. When Hollywood and Vi show up, and it's this critical moment where Ralph has a lot on his mind. Vi is showing her support, but what Vi, the character, tends to do is sweep things under the rug and say, well, we'll talk about that later. When all that's doing is making the situation and relationships worse. She does that with Ralph. She's done that with Hollywood. She's done that with Nova. She's done it with a lot of people. And we see the patterns with Vi. And it's going to have a crescendo of arguments. And with all of these things bubbling up, we're having some positive moments of happiness, but that a lot of that stuff that needs to be talked about, I've talked about in the previous review, are not being discussed. The pivotal moment, of course, is finally understanding the situation with Billie and her dad. She has yet to have that conversation with Prosper, Billie and her father. And where's that conversation? We need to have that conversation. When it comes to Celine and the divorce, and her son is coming, they're coming around more to the diner, we have to remember more people are seeing them. It's the arrogance of Vi that everything will be okay, that she's Superwoman, that I gave you some money, I gave you somewhere to stay, some supplies, you're gonna get this divorce and everything's okay. But the reality of it all, and the danger, is what Celine is telling her. More foreshadowing, that I feel that if I try to do this divorce, that he'll hurt me, that I'll be in danger. She's telling her that this is really dangerous. And it's terrible that they're in a city where they don't even feel comfortable with alerting the police of those dangers. So it's just like that Vi is trying to handle this situation on her own. Here, I'll give you a card of a lawyer and she'll help you, but not thinking about how dangerous this is. Once again, foreshadowing. In the previous episode, Hollywood said, it's dangerous. You have her here. What if he showed up? What if he did this? What if he not only hurt you and the son, but hurt, Celine as well? Vi is going over that. It's going over her head because she thinks that she can just wrap it up in a bow and everything will be great. And it's going to backfire very badly with the character of Vi. Let's talk about Prosper and this nurse. Now, it may seem cute that they're bonding and they're talking about Motown and music and they're happy, but this is a very thin line of professionalism and personal. And it's very dangerous because you see that he has a personal liking by the look in his eyes. He thinks that she's just so beautiful, but this is dangerous. And I think this is foreshadowing as well. It's caution, and he's showing interest to someone that's taking care of him. So not only is he putting the nurse in a strange position, it's putting her job with the agency, right? And if something goes wrong, let's say, for instance, they do, agree to have, hey, you're my client, and maybe I can see you off the clock. We can develop a relationship. Let's just say hypothetically that it doesn't work out. That's gonna backfire to Billie. That, if you wouldn't have gotten a nurse in the first place, then maybe this wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have lost a good friend and potentially somebody I've dated. This is foreshadowing to the calm before the storm, and that's a good prediction. I think that's gonna happen. And the nurse, I think, will be shocked at it, thinking that they're just having a good professional relationship, and her helping him, and they're vibing off of talking about good music. But you can see Prosper is looking towards something more, and it's very it's putting the nurse and him in a very critical situation. And I went, uh-oh, either this is going to end just very wrong with Prosper showing the interest, the nurse showing the interest, right? And having to tell the agency, hey, he's taking a liking in me and something that's not professional. I think I might need to switch clients. And that's something that may happen. And just taking a good guess, he's waiting on her to show up one day. And when a nurse shows up, it'll be somebody else. It won't be her. And that's going to break his heart. So, and also, let's talk about Dominic, right? I still don't trust this guy. I do not trust this guy. He just looks like an FBI informant, a snitch, a rat. He always shows up at the most particular times when it has to do with Nova. She's always outside. You know, is it a coincidence? Yeah, but I just don't think so, because like I've said before, if you watch a lot of murder mysteries, you read a lot of novels, you start to see fluidities in writing when it comes to agents and rats and spies, right? So what their job is to do is, if they have a person, a specific person that they're supposed to be keeping an eye on, there's phases of things that they do in order to get connected with that person without any red flags. I give you an example. He's connecting with her when it comes on social issues, when it comes to true papers, when it comes to history, when it comes to art, all of this stuff. So that builds the interest, that lets the person let their guard down and listen to this person even more. So when they come back another time, you're more open to talk with them. The second thing is transparency. Oh, you know, if there's any trouble, you can text me. You can let me know where you are. I can even walk you to your door. But what that's doing is that's allowing the person that's watching you to give good timestamps of your schedule, fluidity, when you usually come home at night. You get where I'm going with this? And now the final stage is that he's still sitting on the porch, observing the informant, talking to Nova. And he's like, oh, is that a cop? Like, and then to kind of brass over that comment, he says, well, I grew up in foster care. You know, I know a cop when I see one. It's kind of like somebody to be able to do that type of thing. You would have to be in a certain type of enforcement, have a certain type of training, right? And to cover that, he's putting, you know, solace to it. Oh, I grew up in this and my grandmother raised me. You know, once again, that transparency of this is what I've been through, to kind of just let her, you know, let that wall down of maybe being observant of who he is and what he's doing. He's also asking about the cameras. Like, if somebody wants cameras at their house, why does that interest you so much? Oh, I thought the hashtag stuff was over. You know what I mean? You have a woman that lives alone who wants cameras. What would be the problem in that? So now he knows where the cameras are. Once again, this is somebody who lives close to her that can know where the cameras are, i.e. can know where to cut the wires. Okay, follow me on this. Follow me. Okay, so Micah, moving on to Micah's experience with the professor. This is something that can be dissected in so many different ways. His interaction with the professor, which was clearly unprofessional. I mean, even if they weren't at the school or whatever you want to call it. But he mentions briefly that he's dealing with, you know, when he was in his room listening to his music, that he doesn't know how to separate sex, the physical, and love. That he was actually developing feelings, and he had an agreement for it to just be physical, but with his mind he couldn't disconnect. So I mentioned that to say that the friend said, oh, well, if you're saying it was just physical, you know, what's the problem? A lot of people associate, because someone is a male, that it would be easier for a man to disconnect love and the physical, right? But it showed that, you know, him being a young man, that it wasn't easy for him, that it was just he thought it was just something physical and he wasn't able to move on. But that brings light to that because it's showing that both sexes can go through the same thing and both sexes can feel a certain type of way. So, hey, if you're new to this channel and you're just listening into this episode, make sure to go back and listen to the other reviews when I talk about the foreshadowing, all of the foreshadowing that they're giving us. And this is what we've come across when it comes to foreshadowing. We have a lot of foreshadowing when it comes to Celine and Gabriel and the dangers of what she's going through. The foreshadowing of Hollywood sharing at the real spot that he's met this woman who's with her son, who's in a motel, giving all of these clues, right, to men that some of the men he barely knows, or people that could easily transfer that information. Hey man, didn't you say that your wife was in a hotel or somewhere and your son named Gabriel? It's just danger all over the place. We got foreshadowing with the land, with the bone, when it comes to the soil being tested, and also the soil can be tested on the bone, comparing the testing with the soil that Ralph Angel collected. It's a lot of foreshadowing with that. It's a lot of foreshadowing with Charley and Davis. This is just us watching a slow car wreck, okay? Everything career-wise seems to be great. I'm thinking about my future when it comes to politics, and I started off as this, but now look at me now. When it comes to politics, I don't care how much you thought you moved on, they're gonna bring any and everything to the light. It's a lot of stuff that Charley is thinking that they too dumb to figure out. Don't forget as an audience that in previous seasons you had the situation with the farm when she hired a lot of individuals to work on the farm, remember? And there was the hurricane, and there were a few individuals or a individual that died because she told them to keep working. They're going to bring all of that up and they're going to drag her name. You just thought you were just so great, and the black farmers and trying to get the stuff with the USDA, and you had the lowest rate in St. Joe when it came to the people, having the virus and all sorts of stuff. But you were responsible for telling workers to keep working during the hurricane. They're going to pull all of that up. They're gonna put all of the stuff in, y'all reconciled and Davis and all sorts of stuff. But you think you're just gonna get a new job as a coach and it's not gonna come back and backfire? It's foreshadowing all over the place. Okay, so we have that. It's foreshadowing with Micah's anxiety. He went through that, but he still has yet to seek professional help. It's okay to meditate and all that good stuff. It's good for your brain. Absolutely amazing for your brain. If you haven't tried it. But he has yet to address those physical things, and that anxiety and that panic attack may show up at the last and just a terrible situation to where he can't control it. And that's what we're seeing. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Wu-Tang and American Saga Season 2. If you haven't seen Season 1, make sure to click on the playlist in the pinned comments and binge watch Season 1 and catch up with us for Season 2 because it's real good. Come on, Wu-Tang, okay? You don't want to miss that. If you're not a Wu-Tang fan, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But this series will highly likely get you interested in learning more about the Wu-Tang Clan. In the meantime, make sure to check out the other shows in the pinned comments and stay tuned. We have so much for October coming up. It is ridiculous. We have Insecure, the HBO final season of Insecure. We have Ready to Love, the new season. We also have Queens that's coming out. We have so many shows, you guys. I'm going to be so sleepy and so exhausted, but I don't care because I'm going to give you the best, and I'm going to give you your reviews, limited commercials, very, very limited commercials, because I want you guys to enjoy the recaps and the reviews. Make sure that you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything, okay? And like this video, share this video, this family-friendly channel with your family, with your friends. Feel free to post it, do whatever you want to do, okay? We got to start spreading the word about this channel, help your girl out. And last but not least, I did have a death in the family, you guys, literally today. And me doing this recap and review and staying active and allowing my mind to kind of rest and take a break from the sadness gives me a little bit of peace and coping. But keep me in your prayers. It's been really, really tough trying to stay focused. But I believe an idle mind is just too much room for Satan to play around in, right? So you got to keep busy and you got to stay focused. So keep in your prayers. You guys have a wonderful week. Make sure to take care of yourself and each other. In the meantime, I'll see y'all next time. Check out those shows in the pinned comment. I'll see y'all next time. Bye. Let's sing it one time for Micah, y'all. You got it bad when you on the phone. Hang up and you call right back. You got it bad when you miss a day without you in your whole life. So check it. Do you got it bad when you, oh no, when you stuck? Look at yourself, you got it bad when you're stuck in your dorm and you keep on thinking about the professor. You got it bad.